All right, so I have Coco out here. I had an interesting question after the video with her kicking on Runner. And the question was, do I prefer training a horse that's dominant like her, or do I prefer one that's got a lot of fear? And my answer was, you know, I don't really have a preference because I'm a horse lover. I love all the horses. They each have their positives and negatives. The thing I don't like about a horse that's dominant is you have to whack on them a lot more, and my wife hates it when I say the word whack. You have to tap on them a lot more to get them to realize that you're number one, because that's the way they think. They're very dominant, very pushy, and that's the way she is. But the positive on a horse like this is they'll never quit on you. If the girl that owns her, you know, starts doing humper junter competitions, if this horse gets tired, she won't quit. She gets hurt, she won't quit. They've got a lot of try and go, and they can make awesome horses. And once you get past where they'll just let you be number one. And I'm not there with her yet, but we're getting there. So I'm going to show you something that I'm doing to help me get there. So I'm gonna just lunge her around here, because the dominance comes out when I start putting pressure on her and telling her to change directions. So this is kind of like a little more advanced stage of lunging. We've been lunging her now for 3 or 4 days. She's kind of got this down pretty well. I'm going to take my opposite hand. This is her pre-cue as I run my hand down the rope to be really soft, and that was actually really nice. I did it 4 or 5 times before we turned the camera on, so I didn't have to pull. All I did was real gently give her a pre-cue by adding pressure to that rope. And then she's really smart, and she figured it out, and she changed directions, and I didn't have to get rough with her. If she hadn't, what I would do is I'd start bumping that rope on her nose. So if I run my hand down here and she doesn't give to it, like there, she's like there, bump, bump, and then send her shoulder. Okay? Run my hand down there, bump, 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 point, move that shoulder. Okay. So the more changes of directions I do with her, the more she yields that shoulder. And she reared up with me quite a bit yesterday when I was doing this, because that's me being number one, she's being number two. When I tell her to move that shoulder, remember how she pushed against Runner like a linebacker? She uses that shoulder to dominate. And right there, she got in the way of my rope, got too close to me. So she's not shown me a whole lot of aggression. She did a little bit the other day. It was mostly toward Runner more than it was me. But she could be that way. I wouldn't be surprised if she's been aggressive with people in the past. But she's getting better. I'm seeing a lot of improvement. A lot. Okay. There she missed her pre-cue. Bump, bump. Okay. So she's got to pay attention. Here's her pre-cue. She gave to it, but she didn't stop. She bent her head, but she didn't stop. There, okay. So I'm going to have this mare, I don't know, several months probably, but I'll probably do this about, I don't know, not more than 2,000 times. And it'll get better every day. And it'll get to where she'll just say, yes, sir, and spin on her hindquarters and go the other way. Right there. She said no. And I said yes. Okay, I was about ready to quit. She's kind of getting worse, isn't she? The longer I do it, less responsive she's being. A little better. See, she lays her ears back, but she's not doing anything worse than that. And she's still cycling, by the way. She's still in season, so she's got to deal with herself. Okay, now let me bring her in. There, rub on her. And let's get this tarp. And I don't expect her to be too bothered by this tarp. She's not, said this the other day, she's not spooky hardly at all, okay? She stepped all right over it. And the reason she did it, you can't see it, but Runner's right beside you there on the other side of the fence. And She was looking at him, not the tarp. So I really like it that this tarp doesn't bother these horses too much, because what gets you bucked off of a colt most of the time, well, in some form or another, always, colt bucks you off because they're scared. If you don't scare them, they won't buck. So part of getting them ready to ride is figuring out everything that's likely to scare that horse in the beginning and getting them used to it. Anything that shakes and makes noise, anything that has to do with motion up above them, your feet touching them on the side, the saddle creaking, pulling on their head, all that stuff can scare a horse. So the more you can prepare them before you get on them, safer it's all going to be for everybody. And this is my personal professional horse training philosophy. This is me. I'm not speaking for anybody else. If that horse bucks on the first ride, I have failed. I did not do my job. Okay? Because my job is to teach these horses they don't need to be afraid. We're not going to hurt them. And so that's why I take extra time. This is amazing how well she's handling that. I take extra time with this in preparation. Okay. All right, I don't know if you saw that. She just pushed into me with her shoulder. I was just standing here getting ready to put these lines on her, and she's used to using that shoulder to dominate. So that's not how I roll. She doesn't get to do that, because when any horse that pushes in you with their shoulder, that is a dominant. They're just saying, even like, I'm watching her. So she moved, I thought she might step toward me. Even if they just take their foot and just move an inch toward you, slightest little thing, they're dominating you. That's dominance to them. Okay? So I'm pretty keen with that on any horse, but especially one like this that has been doing it and getting away with it. And what happens is, most people who don't understand horse language, horse steps toward them, what do? They back up because they don't want to get their foot stepped on. And what they're telling the horse is, you're number one, I'm number two. And it's very loud. It's like yelling to a horse. If you step away from a horse, it's like yelling at him, okay, you're the boss. Don't do it. Especially one like this. So let's see how she has. Look at that. This horse mouths everything. And I don't know why she does that. It's just part of her personality. As long as she doesn't nibble on me, which she has a few times, I basically ignore it. I don't know there's a whole lot I can do about that. If somebody knows a way to get a horse over that, then shoot me a comment and tell me, because I really don't. I will tell you this. When I was saddling her up a few minutes ago, she reached around and nipped me. I was standing right here. She reached around and nipped the corner of my jeans. And I don't know if she's being, nibbly, or if she was trying to nip me. It really doesn't matter. I have never seen it work to hit a horse when they bite you. I was taught to do that when I was a kid. I had my first pony he could bite he could really bite. And I was taught, hit him on the nose. And I've never seen it work as far as getting them to quit biting. Never. I don't know why. It just doesn't work. What I did was I just took my knuckle and I jabbed her in the ribs a couple of times. That'll work. Put pressure on them somewhere else besides their nose whenever they do it. So again, I don't quite understand the psychology of why that is. I just know it is. All right, let's send her off. Look at there, she's not even moving. And I've even had a few horses over the years where I had to get a lunge whip or something out here to get them moving off of this. And this horse shakes her head a lot. And I'm going to deal with that in other ways later. I'm going to do a lot more bending with her. Part of that is just horses shake their head because they're angry. That's part of why she does it. Okay? She got herself wrapped up there. I didn't tell her to turn and she did. So this is a good learning opportunity. She got her wrapped around her hind legs. Let's let her work through that a little bit. Okay, she got out of it somehow, didn't she? And that happens too when you do this. You'll drop a line and it'll end up dragging, whatever, it's okay. So right now I'm looking for a give. When I pull, she needs to move her shoulder toward me, right there, there. And with this side pull, you can pull pretty hard and it doesn't hurt them. Once I get a snaffle bit on her, you can't really do that, or you'll hurt them. Okay, now she's just running around trying to run away from me. So I'm gonna stop her. She's just trying to figure out how to get away. All right. And so this ground driving is messy and ugly, especially in the beginning, but that's kind of part of it. There's so much they learn from all of this messiness. Ropes around their legs, getting turned around. It's a very valuable learning thing. That was pretty good. She took off really nice. When I asked her to, that was pretty nice. Probably one of the best ones she's ever done as far as going when I asked her to go. Okay, now it's getting better. She's given to it. When I pull to my left, she's bringing her shoulder in. Good. So I'll probably ground drive these horses probably, I'd say three times with this side pull. And then by that time I'll have taught them to give to the snaffle bit and I'll switch to the snaffle bit. She's doing well now that she's kind of getting over being bothered by it. Okay, let me see if I can slow her down. All right, I dropped my body energy, good. Okay, now, I did teach her yesterday with a halter, the lead rope on the halter to yield around to this, like this. All right, so it's ugly, but she did it. So this is both of these with her and Magic. Magic probably did a little better than I expected. And this one's pretty good for first session. It's gonna be ornery and ugly, but as long as they get the general idea. Let me see if I can turn her to her left. There, let her think about it. Just give her time to think about it. Okay, right there. She's gonna think it through. Let her think it through. There we go. She almost had it. You almost made it, babe. Almost made it. Let her think it through here. So I'm holding about 10 pounds of pressure there. There. Oh, you almost had it, babe. There. Okay. So you couldn't do that with snaffle bit. You know, I couldn't hold that pressure like that, or I wouldn't. You could, I guess, but I wouldn't. There. All right, so I'm going to try to get 2 more turns, one each way. Hopefully they won't be quite as there, she's thinking it through. There. So we're just teaching her to follow that pressure. Now right there, she turned on her own. I don't know why, but I didn't want her to. Some horses will shake their head a lot like that she's doing. Most of them don't, but it's not that unusual. Okay, let's try one more turn. And she turned in on her own to the left. This is the one she had the most trouble with earlier. There. Okay. So I'm just going to have her trot around here, kind of keep her body shape. That's pretty nice to the left there. And that's about all I'm going to do with this today. She's done okay. Ooh. All right, pull this out. Okay. All right. So that's day 6 with Magic and Coco. Stay tuned.